I mean, when you kind of look at where that zone. Too many squads you have to worry about, right? Like Los Crios is a big one, and obviously Ravens is another. But I think they just do such a great job of realizing they can pull up and be able to get there. For so many other teams, though, kind of harkening back to the beginning of that map, it's just such weird changes in drop spots.
Simbora.
I love this. This is the exact type of thing, the exact type of small changes that you need to make as a team. Where there's so many of these rosters who are saying, hey, if someone pulls to the opposite side of our POI, we're not going to force it. We're going to go somebody else and try and play out of there. And you can even see for rosters like VP, that worked very well in that last game. They land Pond House, they take down Gentlemates, and then they're able to survive until the very end.
Any other teams other than Falcons, Enigma, that you look at and you said, okay, this was a good performance? Naturally, you got several up there. I feel like our cams were just kind of nonstop on either Los Carrillos or Falcons.
I think we got an individual one that showed why this Ravens esports team are doing very well. There's a moment where Nielsen, who's usually the fragger for the team, is by himself in Main Street. He's got to tuck himself in. He's being hunted. I forget by which team, but it was a big roster. And he's kind of trapped there towards Arcade. And he's like looking to tuck himself in, buy time for his boys to get back in. He does that. But then as his boys are flying in towards Bank, he actually steps out and drops one of the G2 players they came up against. And it's one of those moments where it's like that turns the entire tide of that fight. You stay in longer, you get a couple extra points, and it's just raising your floor. This could have been a map where you guys bow out early. Suddenly there's pressure from teams running up behind you. It's just going to keep you in a nice little flow that even when you don't have those big bang out maps, you're putting yourself in the best spots to get through to Esports World Cup. Nielsen having himself a breakout tournament.
Breakout tournament indeed. Noobs, Doggy, Hisoka from the Falcons dropped 7 winners and now potentially at match point. If not, I mean, they're quite literally half a point or a point away. I mean, that's how close they are. They did everything in their power. They're locked in. And Hisoka at one point, they hit match point. Official, they're on match point. I'm not going to lie to you, Chad. I thought it was going to take 2 or 3 games. Dandro, he said, hey, pause. It might only take 1 because it's Falcons, right? And imagine if the first 2 games weren't chalked for them. They might have already hit it. They might have already won the tournament. Point is, they are incredible. Dandro, Hisoka, for the chat, and for those members who might not know, he was brought onto this roster because he is considered the closer.
Yeah, I mean, all the way back, you know, of course, into, last year when they formed that roster of him, Shifty, and Biffle, it was kind of like, you know, we needed an IGL to really kind of help us, direct us where we need to go. And that was where he earned that nickname in this exact format, the closer, for a reason. You had Shifty and Biffle on that old Falcon.
Yeah, gosh, to
get to this point where you're just trying to win a game, and now you need somebody like Soka to be able to come on in and help direct you and help put you in the best case scenario to win those maps. Now, this year, it's a little bit different story, right? It's a brand new team, but you have Noobs and Dongi backing you up, and it's a lot of the same stuff. If you don't remember, Dongi last year on that Virtus Pro roster, he was the IGL and top fragger for that team. So sometimes in those end game moments, you'll see Dongi is the one who's trying to help make some calls, feed information to Soka, so that way he can make the best call possible, and Noobs is doing the same thing as well. I think that if you're in this lobby, it's very scary that this is the first team that crossed threshold. There's a number of teams. Have they been there? You probably, okay, we got 2 or 3 maybe until we got to really start to get worried. Now you're looking at this roster and be like, this team's really, really good at acing up events. That's when you cross the threshold in one game and win the very next game. I think you have to be very scared for some of the teams in this lobby that the Falcons are the ones to cross threshold.
Bro, honest to God, I don't think, and I'll hand it to you in a second, I do not think Doggy has looked away from his monitor. Probably that was the first time I saw it just a second ago. That dude is locked.
Yeah, no, this guy is a phenomenal talent, of course, and what Dan's saying there, we talk about him as one of his greatest shooters, and trust me, if you've never seen his POV, go and check it out. He's one of those as well. He's able to talk, think about the game, very intelligent player. But the person that I want to bring up is Noobs. Not just because he's having himself an incredible tournament on the slaying side of things. We all talk about him as like this glue player. He makes teams do well just because he does the things that no one else wants to. This guy can play anchor, he can fry, he can also sit in the middle of the 2 and do the bits that needed. They've hit match point. The reason they get match point is because of Noobs in that last map. You had a great map until that point, sure, but you will scrape over by 1 kill being needed, and you get 2 right at the end because he backs off, plays coverage as his 2 teammates are knocked, and therefore picks up 1 as they move over. That allows his boys to self-res, and they play cleanup kills. If that doesn't happen, we aren't talking match point right now. We aren't talking about Eddie, Soka, and Dongi looking like they're about to ace this thing out. So yeah, he's having himself an afternoon, and that smile's going. I don't know if he's listening to us or if Soka's just giving him the gas. ass. But either way, he deserves to be very happy right now.
Those boys have been chilling, man, and I tell you what, he's been smiling after game 3. Man, Noobs he's been in his bag. Love it. Look, he's a veteran. All right, he was at one point on one of the most historic rosters, TBE, and now looking to obviously be on another historic roster, which is Falcons, and kind of make this roster his. I believe in him fully. He's been flying and frying all day today. This is a huge addition, I think, to Hisoka's repertoire. Of course, alongside that of Doggy, they have been absolutely on fire. I can't wait to see how this next game is going to end up going for this roster, especially if they are officially on match point, which I do believe I'm 99% certain they are. We'll have the scoreboard in just a second, but you know, this is a roster that when they do get to match points, of course, a little bit different. They typically close it out. Let's go back, though, to when they were on the struggle bus. Map number 3, they just come off the back of map 1 and map 2.
Caralho,
Things were
olha o
not looking
Team
good for them. The
Falcons,
play
velho.
wasn't loading
O
in. You
ghost
think
do
they're put in
Team
the blender. There's a lot of
Falcons, né, no
doubts now
caso.
from chat. They were like, oh, is this the Falcons roster that we expect to see from them? Danjo, they go into map 3, and they turn that narrative on its head instantly by getting a tremendous win.
I mean, yeah, that is exactly what you want to see if you are a Falcons, you know, obviously fan, is that, you know, obviously we know that this is a team that, you know, will walk into any tournament. They're confident. These 3 players legitimately think nobody on the map can gun them. And they're kind of almost true in it, right? Like when they get there, it's just this delusional level of confidence. But how do they perform when maybe they don't have that level of confidence to fall back on? Turns out they're still going to keep shooting like exactly how we know and love. Where, like you mentioned, it's map 1 and map 2, not great due to some technical issues. A-OK. Map 3 is the first map that they are a full 3 roster, and it's the first map that they come out frying. Currently, our #1 game of the day when in terms of kills, dropping 24 and the win in that game. And it's for the reason you're seeing right here. They clear out Boat, they get a lot of kills Main Street, and it's just this wrap on over into Lumber to clear out so many of these teams and just kind of just drop one squad after another to get them to that point. And this is, I think, was the spark they needed to realize, hey, we can get back into this tournament. We can be the top dogs. We can be able to be that first team to cross match point threshold.
And they did, right? And obviously, it started on drop 3. That was a tremendous performance from them. And then really kind of showcase, look, the mental was there. You're talking about veterans on all accounts. And Hisoka was able to bring it in, obviously, for this roster quite well. And again, the closer. Can he close it out now that he is on that match point? I firmly believe that they can in this introduction of Doggy, which is just a brilliant player. Always locked, never blinks. The guy's Dogwick. Okay? Plain and simple. All right. Hey, match one guy.
No, you didn't have to do anything.
I had to. It's contractually obligated to drop it out there to Dogwick. Now, it's a great roster. They're here. And the question is, do they get challenged? They were challenged once. Do they get challenged again to try and shut them down? And I got to tell you guys, historically, teams that are on match point, Danjo, they don't get challenged.
Well, why would you? Like, it's kind of dumb to really go out of your way and try and chow them, right? I think if anything, if you are one of these other rosters, you just have to realize that maybe they're playing a little bit passive, right? Because they're playing for the win right now. So we saw in that one game where a team like Team Vitality was able to kind of swoop on in and throw them into the blender. That's what I want to see more. I want to see more of teams not being afraid to push Boat if they need to, if that's the best position. Unfortunately, when I look at this list of teams, and so far what we've seen so far, there's only a couple of squads that I think have the capabilities of doing that, right? Vitality's one, Los Carrillos is another one, Twisted Minds, and maybe Ravens, right? Are the only squads I can maybe think of that could potentially do that. So you're going to have to kind of wait and see, you know, are you going to be in a position to make that play and execute on it if you want to try and keep this tournament going?
Big game from the Falcons, 35.2 coming out from them, but nice to see T1 wake up. Question is it a little bit too late, Enigma?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it might be a case of, we've talked about, sorry, excuse me. Cough coming through there. It was a long day in the venue yesterday, all right?
That's
12
right.
hours of shouting at the players playing. But T1, yeah, look, the thing is for them, they talked about this yesterday. It's a case of they have very little LAN experience. Obviously, Echo a LAN champion, but Spam, this is first, Disrupt, it's his second. If it doesn't go well, that's one thing. Do they expect it to go this poorly? No, I don't think so. If you can build through this afternoon and manage to turn yourself into a respectable performance, then that's certainly experience, that's certainly gain, that's progress. I don't think you get close to match point now. I think we get close before that. I agree with what Goj said before. I will say, looking at those drop 7 results, though, Twisted Minds were on a heater. 17 kills to drop in 8th is a ridiculous performance. They managed to see themselves through to the later stages of that one. They could have been putting up anything north of 30 points. So yeah, great stuff out of them. A couple of teams going big right now, but I will say Vitality dropping a knife there. They get blessed by the fact that Gentlemates have a bad game because they're right on that cusp of potentially getting through. They don't want to be looking over their shoulder. The Gentlemates getting nothing. That's going to help them a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you got to also account for Ravens still trying to gatekeep Vitality and Gentlemates both the same. They've been highly consistent all day today, so good on Bill for doing so. But Twisted Minds do get away with the bag. Obviously those 20 points going to be huge for them. We take a look. There it is. Falcons have officially reached the match points, which means, chat, now they just need to win a game. If they win this next game, they are your champions. Wherever the other teams that's it, Enigma.
It is, and a very well. Let's asterisk that and put a very important note here, my friend. We're on match point. If Twisted Minds finish inside the top 4, they are already qualified to EWC as defending champions. That qualification position moves down one, so it would now include Vitality. So that suddenly changes the conversation a hell of a lot. And again, going back to that last map, Vitality, poor performance, sure, but the fact that Gentlemates dropped nothing, if they dropped like a 25, 30-point game, as we know they're very capable of, they'd have been right up behind them, challenging for that final potential spot.
Okay, that's definitely a good point, especially with them having a 30-point lead over the team just below them, Virtus Pros. So they are sitting in a great spot at the moment. For the other rosters down there, 11th through 16th, time is definitely running short, depending on how many games we get. You go back to EWC last year, we had, 6 teams on match point. We could still get to that very moment, but only time will tell. Falcons are on fire. Twisted Minds, the closest ones potentially hit it, Dan.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key thing to think here, that if Falcons don't ace this, very real possibility that with them playing maybe a little bit more passive, not having to go out and find as many kills there, that could open up the map for a team like Twisted Minds who, they only need 26 points. And that's where
Rapaziada, acho que a Falcon ela tá
And if we keep going, man, don't count T1 out yet. They were 16th
tá
going into
ganhar,
the
pô.
last game. After that, they're now currently
Ou talvez o time do Nano.
see some streaks happen. I don't know.
Mas eu acho que o time do Nano ganha.
All I know is that we are going to have some great Warzone coming on up.
It's not over till it's over. Anything is possible. 7 games done. 8 game about to come your way. Falcons on match point. Will they close it out or will we get more? Let's find out.
Eu acho que o time do Nano ganha.
Reflections double and aren't amazing. Desk Tiff. Is this gonna be the final game? Holy cow. Also, great point from Enigma. The fact that we're kind of playing for top 5 with Twisted Minds up there because of that spot that's already assured, it's actually a huge value add. It actually makes T1's chances still possible. I don't want to keep harping on them, but they were our top seed or one of our top 2 seeds going into this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with some things the desk were saying, Goj. If it doesn't end here, we are in for a crazy journey. And I can't imagine the caliber of a lobby that we have here today on LAN for DreamHack Birmingham, that they're going to allow this to happen. I don't think that they're going to go out of their way to necessarily land on the Falcons, but I think they're going to be really cognizant that that team does usually take up a lot of space at boat at the start of each and every map. And the way they just kind of filter out, determining on where that circle goes and pulls, as you can see, fans are like just surrounding the area. This is the beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end. We're in the end game. The question is, how long will the end game last? Folks, we see you in the venue. We wish we were there with you, but it has been a blast to commentate and analyze this amazing event. Job's not finished, though. The Falcons are thinking the same. They said, well, we did the first part. Now it's time for the second part. And will they ace? Like Danjo said, it is a technical ace if they get to match point and then immediately win the next game that follows it. A tall order, but they do have some room for error. They do have some margin as they are the only team that have breached the threshold. They're not going to change their game plan, Tiff. The big question is, will anybody else change theirs?
You're going to have to, right? We know that there's multiple teams that have already proven they can win. I'm looking at Twisted Minds. I'm looking at Los Carrillos. I'm looking at Vitality, a team that I thought had the potential to nab some wins. Honestly, VP, T1, Gentlemates. Look, I'm going to even throw AG Global in there. It's been an interesting run for them here today, but they're doing everything that they can to kind of carve back from those initial... Honestly, I don't even know why I'm excluding Ravens Esports from that conversation. They have an average placement of 6. The best performance they've had all day was 3rd. They're still in triple digits. Could they hit match point this game? Probably not. Within the next 2 they could, and I think that's why it's so important for the Falcons to ace. Virtus Pro right there on the left-hand side of your screen, currently situated in 6th. Their average placement just inside the top 10, Ghost. Not where you want to be. We know they have the fragging potential. We saw their best performance in the most recent game with that 3rd place. So let's get crazy. Let's get into it. Oh my God.
Listen, I know our casters and analysts hyped up Noobs already. I will bring up the fact that I'm looking at individual kill tallies, okay? We showed them not too long ago. Noobs is at the top of that list. He is our top fragger on the day with 47 kills through 7 games. Shifty in 2nd at 45, and Niasen is at 43. Okay, those are your top 3 fraggers on the day. And so a big shout out to the desk talking about and hyping up Niasen. He is having a breakout tournament. We've known this player is really strong. Had a crazy end to yesterday's open. And today is putting on a show.
Esse aqui eu não tava jogando. Mas ele tá não, só tá no Reagindo só.
They truly do. You got the Gentlemates on the screen now. Not going to be too happy with their performance, right? A ton of big tournaments. They've been in 2nd place. Now, mind you, this is just looking to qualify for that major one in Riyadh, right? That EWC, the former Twisted Minds being that most recent LAN championship there. But it's all about getting there. And that's right, guys. If you're just tuning in, match point activated for the Falcons. And I feel like Noobs on your screen over there. By the way, 96% kill efficiency. And he's just like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I did that.
Yeah, that means he's putting down a crazy amount of damage, but that damage is being converted into kills. So he is being extremely efficient with the bullets that he throws down range. A big shout out to the Falcons, obviously the team to watch, and we'll be watching a lot of them in this map because nearly any engagement where their anchor is in trouble, we have to pay attention to. Otherwise, though, I want to highlight some of those other teams again. Twisted Minds. I think the desk brought it up. They only need about 26 points to breach our threshold. Gotta shout out our LATAM region being represented now by Los Crios. They are at 118.6 points, right? So they only need, what, 31.4 points? That's definitely feasible for them. Ravens Esports holding down our 4th place position at 110. They need a 40-point game, of which nobody's been able to breach, but still technically possible. Everybody else is close. Our 5th currently is Vitality, and they have almost a 30-point margin over Virtus Pro, who's in 6th, by the way. So here's a look at it in the top right. This is our top 5, and technically speaking, if the tournament were to end right now with nobody else getting any points, these top 5 would make EWC because Twisted Minds already have an assured spot. So that's how it works. The team that's just off of this list, Tiff, that I just mentioned, Virtus Pro, they're 77.8 points. They have a lot of work to do, and they desperately need the Falcons to not win here if they want a chance to make EWC.
Yeah, Gosh. I mean, look, a trend that I've noticed throughout our games that we've played thus far is the point sponging that has been occurring inside our top 5. This is why it's been so difficult for our teams that are situated outside the top 5 to be able to breach that gap. You mentioned Virtus Pro being about 38-ish points back from the 5th place position. That's a full game. That's like saying, hey, our top 5 just, hey, don't play this one. VP's got a points jump that we've got to get. And that's saying they got a banger game to do so, right? That's where things are going to get difficult. Lotus 8, you could say the same thing. Now, how is T1 going to keep counteracting that? They had their best game in map number 7 with 36.4 points. You're going to need multiple ones of those to breach that, right?
Yeah.
And if you want your qual now and you don't want a qual in Atlanta, you got to do something about it.
Well, look, and as much as we're kind of hypothetical Harrys yet again, it is worth mentioning the 6th through 10th spot have a spread of 5.2 points. 6th is 77.8. 10th is 72.6. That's how close.
Spectre.
That's how close. Yeah, that's Spectre and 10th. Gentlemaites are in there. T1's in there. Lotus 8's in there. Virtus Pro. That's how tense and tight the mid pack is. Which means if the Falcons don't close out soon and we keep going for a little while, all of those teams will absolutely have a chance to still make EWC off of this, event alone. So, yeah, a lot of what ifs, a lot of question marks. But the main one that we continue to have to bring ourselves back to is, will the Falcons ace? And so I am excited to see what happens for a team like Virtus Pro, who's got great energy, but unfortunately couldn't get things going today. And again, the other big what if that I brought up is, where do people land now? Now that the Falcons are on match point. Does that change anything for anybody? If you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, maybe it does. Maybe you want to keep this thing going. AG Global, they kind of went for broke last game, Tiff, and they got 9 kills, I think it was, in like 3 minutes, but then they got broke. They got full wiped early, so I don't know.
Okay, so here's the deal. You want to know that if like the bottom teams on the leaderboard are going to maybe do something crazy. As we look here at VP, real quick, they're locked in. Gentlemates, you know what? They're in that kind of cluster you were talking about. But for For Fun in 12th place, AG Global, G2, Clown, FLS's team. These are the teams that are south of 70 points on the leaderboard. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain. None of them have gotten a win yet in our series. The capabilities are definitely there. Hell, you've got AG Global, FIFA Kill. He's won LAN before. That team is stellar, just hasn't found their footing just yet. Bubble, Flanked, and Juju coming in from For Fun. They won through the open and they're in 12th. They've just struggled to get a hold on that mid-map scenario. But if you change things up here and you decide, mind you, For Fun Esports was talking about potentially challenging the Falcons on boat. You have nothing to lose, guys.
Yeah,
you
true.
literally could go boat.
That's true. You can see For Fun return to form there and go boat. And, you know, to be fair, talking about For Fun is about as expected for them, in my opinion. They win the open land because nobody else is at boat, and they're a really strong team. But they haven't really had a home this competition, or in the finals rather, and because of that, they're struggling a bit. Back to conversations, and we need to continue them because, of course, we want to make sure this potentially final lobby is as sound as possible. So let's bring back in Taylor. Let's bring back in our analysts. Continue the Yapathon. Gentlemen, hi. Fun conversation starter. Falcons have won 2. Vitality's won 2. Los Carrillos has run 1-2. And we have one more team, Twisted Minds, that have won our 7th map. Other than that, we have no other winners. Do you really see anybody else winning maps today?
It's a good question. It's a good question. For me, I would say no, personally. I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I think that's it. I really do. Does Falcons win this next one? Honestly, I don't know. But I would say, I think Twisted Minds most likely is going to be the closest. Los Carrillos has kind of taken my heart. My favorite personally, out of all the teams that have competed today, they've been on fire. I don't know. Nigma, you got a different opinion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would love my Gentlemates to get one, but I think the team I'm going to lean towards is going to be T1. They realistically should have had one in that last map. I think that you get caught a little bit between trying to pick 3 or 4 fights. You're a little bit too aggressive there through the end. I think if you don't get that, and if spam isn't a little over egregious with the chow there, to be fair, it was on 13 kills, fully earned that right, but it's one of those where I think you actually get the zone pull straight after, and you're just very unfortunate. All the timing works like that, and then Echo's got a most wanted in his back pocket, tells everyone where he is. If that doesn't happen, you probably close that map out. You just hold the wall. So yeah, I mean, they're getting better through this afternoon. Too little too late to win it. Too little too late to get to top 4. That's how I'm feeling right now. If you get a big map win here, you never know, you can make it happen. So I'd love to see that be the case.
I mean, I think it would feel good, right, for T1 to get a win, at least on land, given that they do have a younger member on their team. First LAN event. This would be a big moment for them to finally feel like what it is to win on land, and then they can carry that over into Atlanta if they don't make it into top 4 today. But as far as kill leaders go, we've had a lot of shining stars throughout the entirety of today's competition, and Noobs continues to be that shining star. Dandro, who's leading the charge at 47.
Yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely shooting. Shifty isn't too far behind, though, and neither is Nice, and then we kind of have that drop-off, right? One thing that's really interesting, I'm a stat nerd, okay, but one thing I want to bring up is I've been tracking something that we like to call kill efficiency, which is essentially your total damage divided by your number of kills that you have. Noobs is currently sitting at, let me just double check here. What's the number? Oh, it's like 92%, okay? You can almost think about that as like your percentage chance to get a kill when you start shooting, okay? So when Noobs is finding those openings, he's starting those shots going on out, he's going to get a kill. It's going to be crazy, and that's realistically why he's able to be up here towards the top 447. Compare that to Shifty, on the other hand, who's right behind him. I mean, you're just basically looking at Shifty's putting out an insane amount of damage, but he's not able to convert them into kills as much. So just kind of shows you do both sides of the coin there, where Shifty, he's shooting at anything and moves. Noobs, he's a little bit more calculated when he's trying to be able to get those kills, and that's why we see these two players at the top. Really interesting stuff to be able to see that. But when we look at this overall kill leaderboard, it's no surprising to see that obviously a lot of the players that are on our top overall kill leaderboard are on a lot of our top teams.
Yeah, I mean, what, Dark and Criminal God, by the way, shout out to them, 7th and 6th place. I mean, they've been highly consistent all day today, carrying Latin America. Currently in 3rd, Amir, nowhere to be. Where's he at? He's not on this list, actually, surprisingly. So clearly, look, again, he knows how to put together an incredible roster. And clearly, Criminal God, Dark know exactly what they're doing here, Enigma.
Yeah, certainly do. I mean, look, Amir's job is to hide out and just let his boys continue to do the job of the slaying, the heavy lifting, and Z-Dark and Crimmy are certainly doing that. And honestly, this continues to prove that Crimmy was the correct pickup for this team. I mean, look, we all love Castillo. Obviously, that band has been together for so long, the longest team in Warzone history. But look, they needed to make some changes if they really wanted to contest and try and win things, and Criminal God is putting on in his first LAN environment. Beautiful stuff to see. But a player that I am really surprised